All right, what's up? The Metal Nerd Podcast is back in a new format. We're going video. We're going live. No, we're not live. So the first episode. Well, not the first episode, but the return. We're gonna burn down the Black Album by Metallica. I got my shirt. Do you have it? You don't even have a Metallica shirt.
Isn't that Metallica?
No.
Back in Black Album? The Back in Black Album? That's not Metallica?
But I did hear that was one of the kind of inspirations. Or not inspirations, but they were trying to go for more of like a straight groove.
Yeah,
off of AC/DC. So.
What's his name? Phil Rudd?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah. Good job. Good job. All right. So we have no format. Let's just wing it. What were you talking about when you got over here? You were saying What the Spirit, the song.
Oh, so I've been thinking about the Black Album because everybody's been talking about it, and especially Metallica. Actually, that stuff's been really good with, I'm already sidetracking, with, I like how they've included Bob Rock so much because he is so important. Like, I feel like it probably didn't make sense, but them meeting each other was the best thing that ever happened to both of them, even though it wasn't, like, pleasant, right? Like, I think they both, after they were done with the album, apparently they're like, we're never going to see you again. Like, especially Bob Rock was like, fuck you guys. But,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He was like, I'll never see you guys again.
Wow.
Until, everything blew up and...
Well, it's just too much of each other. It was like 9 months.
Yeah, for sure. And it was intense.
Let's go back to, this is where I want to start. Let's go back to the Black Album in our life. So we were in like 7th grade, I believe. And we had both gotten into Metallica.
I think we were in 8th grade.
No.
So we're definitely dating ourselves, but that's fine.
I think was it 8th grade? Okay, maybe it was 8th grade. So we were we got turned on to Metallica on Injustice for All, so like 1989 or something like that, maybe 90. And so we were and that like changed our lives, no question. Both of us, and our friend, played the little tape that he recorded off of the local radio station in LA, which was called KNZ. And anyway, so that changed our life. And so we were like diehards. We were like, all right, this is it. This is our band. And then the Black Album comes out. And we're like, what was the first song you heard? It had to be Sandman, right?
I mean, probably Sandman.
And what was your...
I wasn't having it.
Yeah.
I was very not... So we got into them on Injustice for All. We're like young. We're like 10 years old, 11 years old. And it was probably 89. Do you know what month it came out? I would imagine.
Oh, well, it came out in 88.
Yeah, was it late 88?
I don't know.
I know, I was trying to figure that. But anyway, let's guess it was 89. And let's say we're 11 years old. And, like, everybody thought we were fucking crazy, especially going to Catholic school. Like, are you guys like satanic, like, you guys are fucking weird, and because there was literally like 3 guys, maybe 4 or 5 in the whole school that like listened to Metallica. And we're like, yeah, well, fuck you. That's what this is all about. And then the Black Album comes out and everybody's on board. And I was like, fuck you guys and fuck Metallica.
Yeah.
Simply.
As an 8th grader would say.
Yeah, well, yes.
And that's the thing. So like, it came out and we all had the same exact response. And it was like, oh my God, like even the cool chicks were into it. Like you're just like, they're like, oh, I like Metallica now. And I literally remember.
Oh yeah.
Saying I like Metallica now.
Oh yeah.
And
no,
like,
I remember.
And even though, like looking back, like that's cool. That's cool as hell. Like, but from the vantage point of our age, but at the time, it was kind of like like we probably honestly I was thinking about this.
We were Outcast, and it was Outcast music. Until the Black Album came out.
Yeah.
And it was like everyone's, and it was like, fuck you guys, I'm out.
Yeah, and it was probably like the girls that like we just, couldn't get. And so it was just another reason to not.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, it's a terrible shit attitude. It should have been fucking Opportunitiesville, but
But yeah, everybody, it's true. They became like a mainstream, you know, and people were into it. Uh, so anyway, but like, okay, so then when was the turning point for you? Like, when did you start going, okay, I'm kind of digging it.
You know, that's a good question. Because I remember, okay, I had a bad attitude about Enter Sandman. I didn't care. I was like, whatever, it's a rock song. And then, which is weird, right? Because it sounded great, but I really didn't care. And then Unforgiven, I think, was next, if I recall. And I was like, you know, I was like definitely intrigued with Unforgiven, but I was just like, oh, listen to how he's singing in the chorus, like, you know what I mean? Listen, you know, but I was definitely intrigued though, because it's an undeniable great song.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ironically, it might be Nothing Else Matters, because I was just like, that's a great song, you know, and all the classical, you know, finger picking guitar stuff. Being, you know, a budding guitar player at that point, I was like, pfft. And then I started learning it. I was like, wow, this is really hard, but I did learn it.
Yeah, that was the 1-2 punch, and I was trying to think. To me, it was definitely Nothing Else Matters, but like, but I think you're right. I think like I remember seeing the video for both. In fact, it was the video. So for both of them, I remember seeing Unforgiven, and honestly, I was kind of blown away. I was like, oh my god, that's just great melody. Like that's just beautiful stuff. And then the heavy's heavy, but then Nothing Else Matters came on. I remember. Do you remember? It was like, what was it? Much Music or something. There was like this. We had like some. We didn't have cable, so we had like. It was like this grainy like station that we would get, and it wasn't even MTV. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we didn't have MTV.
But remember like Body Count was on there, and like I remember like some cool shit was on there.
Yeah.
It was like Much Music or I don't know, something like that. But anyway,
It was like Channel 56 or something.
yeah,
like that.
something and that song came on, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, Jesus. And so it was like,
yeah, that was kind of
Unforgiven and Nothing Else. I was just like, dude, like I don't care, like these are just great songs.
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
like at some point you're just like, this is just great music. So so I kind of, you know, gave my attitude a little check, but it was still like culturally, and sort of when you're at that age and at that time, especially because everyone was so kind of in their own camp. So it was definitely a tough pill to swallow for a while, but like inside you were just like, dude, these are great songs, you know?
Well, I mean, and another song that like when I like I think our buddy Mark got the album, you know, I think he was the first one, right? That got the Black Album, like the tape.
Probably.
Yeah, and
I don't remember that, yeah.
But I remember when I
because Mark got everything.
Yeah, when I heard The God That Failed, I was like, okay, this I'm behind. That was like one of the only songs I was really like, that's, you know, that one's rad. I mean, because that song probably could have been on like Injustice for All, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, so that was our intro. Yeah, okay, so let's go back
so
to
we had a bad attitude about Black Album.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty common for like Metallica fans that were like,
yeah, that got into them prior.
Yeah, but then, you know, after a while you just start to realize, like, first of all,
well, and we were of that age too. Like we had never even been to a concert. You know what I mean? We were very much like dude, when I got into like we were in 6th grade or whatever when we got into Injustice for All, and it was literally like you went somewhere else and like you were officially an outcast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like a legit outcast at that point.
Yeah.
Like it was like, all right, I sold my soul, you know? This is it now. This is the new path. This is my life.
You're in.
Yeah.
But the Black Album, but then it was like, the whole thing was undeniable, because like literally the fanfare just escalated from there. Even if you didn't want it to, you were just like, they were everywhere for one thing. And then just everything, like, so for instance, like a year and a half of the Life of Metallica, right? By that, of course, that's game changer material. unbelievable. So, everyone knows what that is, but if you don't know, then it's basically, I mean, you can go on YouTube and check out the whole thing, but it's like a 3-hour, yeah, it's like a 3-hour thing. And the first like hour and a half, it might have been like literally we had VHS tapes, again, dating ourselves. But I think the first half was like in the studio. So like, like an hour and a half, and it's like the whole making of the album, which is, if you haven't seen it and you like metal or rock, you just need to see it. It's amazing. And then the second half is them on tour, supporting the Black Album, and the whole thing's amazing. But for me, they're both amazing, but the in the studio stuff is just undeniable, and it always has been, especially if you're an artist. It's just like, first of all, it's 101 on like recording an album. I've had producers tell us when we were starting to do our own recordings later on, like you should go watch this before you like in pre-production, before you get in the studio, go watch that. But also just like, I mean, it's like, sorry, check, we've already been there, I've seen it like 10 times, but it's just so awesome, dude. Even if you're not a musician, it's just amazing to watch, to get the like, just such a cool insight and the making of a record, Dude. And it happened to be that record that's just 30 years later. Of course, we should probably say this is like on the back of of course, Metallica's doing a lot of promotion for their 30-year anniversary of the Black Album. Probably should have mentioned that at the top.
Yeah, so actually I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's actually probably the thing that got me back in the fold was the a year and a half. Because I remember we got it for like one of our birthdays or something, right?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
I think so.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like maybe 8th grade or something, and like when I saw that, I was like, I mean, the studio footage is so good and everything about it. And it was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I was probably already back in the fold, but like seeing that, I was just like, okay, yeah, this is rad, and it was so cool to see them like behind the scenes, like to get just more like candid footage of, you know what I mean? Like your favorite band, But and yeah, the studio footage, like with Bob Rock and the production side of everything, was like so like formative, like to like everything going forward, how you thought of producing and everything.
I want to get back to Bob Rock in a second, but
yeah.
But on that same train of thought, the next thing was the it was called Live Shit, Binge and Purge. And it was like literally like this box set, and it was like a box that was it looked like one of their road cases, that they would put their equipment in on tour. It was so cool. Like their branding, come on, man. I mean, everybody knows, but take note, and most people already are taking note, but like their branding has just been ingenious, and their management, I just marvel, because like the management of that band is just insane. Like, you know what I mean? And obviously so much comes from the guys themselves, especially Lars, but like their management team is fucking out of this world. It's just, everything they do is top notch. It's so smart and clever, like the box. That was so cool. Anyway,
yeah.
But the box set was like, again, a couple VHS, or maybe 3. And it was like 3 live shows. And so it was live. They had a show from Injustice for All tour in Seattle, and then they had the San Diego arena show that they did on the Black Album. And then was there one more? Oh, there was two from that show, because it was like such a long show. It was like a headlining show that they didn't even have an opener. So I think there was 2 from that show, and then there was a 3 CD case of a live show from Mexico City. So, and then there's like this like rad, just like today they got all this stuff that they're putting out with the anniversaries, but they had this awesome booklet of like pictures from the Black Album tour, and all that stuff was just unbelievable, right? I mean, it's like when you're a kid, like looking at this shit, you're just like, this is the dream,
Oh yeah.
Like what they're doing, they just inspired so much. But
yeah. Yeah, and actually it's funny, just a kind of side note, but it is kind of crazy, like, how influential, like, that record was, and, like, I mean, it probably was to us, too, without really knowing it. I mean, I always think of myself as more influenced by, like, and Justice for All is, like, my favorite record, and it's the one that, like, is the first one that I heard and was, like, obsessed with, and would literally just sit there, lay down on my couch and just listen to it over and over. And just be mad at the world.
Together with Metallica.
What a great feeling. But anyway.
Oh my god.
But no, it was funny. This morning, I was listening to Rob Flynn's podcast, and he had the singer of Whitechapel. And if you know Whitechapel, they're like a super brutal, like, death metal band. I don't know if they're like considered deathcore or what they are, but they had the singer, and he was like, I don't know, super young when the Black Album came out, but it was the first metal thing he got into, like a lot of people, it was his gateway, and like he was saying Sad But True was like the heaviest thing he had ever heard, and even now he considers it one of the heaviest things he's ever heard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, if you hear Whitechapel, that's saying a lot, but yeah, it's like that was like his gateway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To so many people, like, that album was, So anyway, yeah, just the impact, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the production, because, like, this is the thing, like, honestly, probably since the year and a half of the Life of Metallica, but really, you right away, like, that was one of the things, like, obviously when you first hear it was like, holy shit, like, I mean, even if, like, I had the bad attitude and all, you're kind of like, wow, like, the sound is, and it was maybe back then it was, at least right away, it was probably less impressive for some reason. But at some point, you kind of lock in and you're just like, Jesus, this is sonically insane. And I think that's the thing that holds up, excuse me, today. It's like 30 years later, it's like, dude, that thing, it's insane sounding. I mean, there's some choices that, like, maybe, I don't 100% agree. Like, we've talked about in some moments, like, the guitars are tucked down so the vocals will kind of, like, really pop, and that's cool. But, like, there's moments where I go, like, I could go for a little bit more guitar there, but, like,
for sure.
But overall, it's insane sounding, and it stands the test of time. It's such a strange thing, and as I get older, it just, like, I nerd out more and more about the production. And so, like you said earlier, the Bob Rock pieces, I'm all like, anything Bob Rock, whenever he talks about the Black Album, I will listen 100% of the time, because it's just like, I'm absolutely fascinated by him and his process and just the sound of that thing. And the one thing I learned about recently, like the little touches, is they put plywood up on the walls,
Yeah.
They nailed in plywood, and they used the same studio that they recorded in Justice for All in, right? And
yeah, it was
completely crazy. Different sounding record, but they.
And it's funny, they were talking about another podcast. Friday mornings, like, my podcast. Well, I listen to podcasts every morning, but I listen to a couple on Friday mornings, and the Black Album one, and they were talking about how they record at the same studio, and part of the reason was 101 is like one studio where there's no other artists, like, you don't go out into the halls and there's, like, you run into other artists, like, you know what I mean? They like being isolated and just fucking no distractions, you know what I mean? Which makes sense.
Yeah, so that's it, that's all I got. No, the sound of that, I mean, starting with the drums, like, there's stuff about, I don't even know, but apparently, like, some dude owns those drums, like, and he actually,
the Drum Doctor, right?
Is that who it is?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like in LA or something. Because I heard Slipknot actually used that drum set on what was it, the Gray chapter? Or
was it the Gray chapter?
Yeah, I think it was that one. Which it sounds nothing like the Black Album, ironically, but, like, At least to me, but like
You can get the drums, but you still need Bob Rock.
Well, I mean the thing, you know, and here's the thing.
And who's the engineer? Oh, Staub, right?
Yeah.
Andy
But
Staub
the thing that Bob Rock said, you know, is like they could not remake that album today. You know, it's like they could never remake that album. And there was like so many things.
The attention to detail, like.
But just even like everything about it, like where they were in their lives, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the attention they put in crazy hours, but just everything like. And that's what's interesting about music. When you listen to music, you tend to think it's formulaic, and especially these days, I hear a lot of people like complaining, saying, you know, everything kind of sounds the same, but really does it? Like when you actually listen from song to song, album to album, artist to artist. I mean, I get that, like, I get the complaint because there's all the plugins and all that stuff, but everything sounds different. And there's just so many factors and variables, especially when you record the old school way, you know, like drums in a room and with mics and, you know, all that.
New turnstile.
There you go. Little
plug.
But.
New Cerebellion. Little plug.
Yeah, but anyway, it's just, yeah. It's crazy. Like when they put it that way, I was like, yeah, that's right. You know, like a lot of it is just capturing kind of that like magic in a bottle. Like it's just a weird thing. I mean, it's what's the word? Like all these things, like the stars aligning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. No, but I really think that like with all their podcasts and everything they're doing, they're really like including Bob Rock a lot, you know, and really paying homage to him. And I think that's awesome because they should. You know, I mean, so much of what came out of that is the fact that that they combined with him. And not only for them, but I think for him too. That's probably got to be, I mean, he did some massive records prior to that. Well, it's probably got to be his biggest record.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, stars align, man. And it was like a fucking,
well,
you know, and it's funny because like I said, like it drained the shit out of both parties, especially him probably.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that guy played in hours. You guys, but like
the other guys could come and go, but like him and Lars, I think were there pretty much the whole time.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like what, a year or something like that, 9 months or something.
Yeah, like 9 months, but they were like,
it was like, and he's got
they would barely.
He had a family, you know. He had like his son. So I didn't know this, but I found out from the podcast, which is pretty cool, that the kid, you know, like the now I lay thee down, you know, whatever, you know. How do I not know that? But anyway, that voice, that kid is his son.
Yeah.
You know, a 10-year-old son. So I mean, he had like a young family and like fucking taxing, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now I lay me down to sleep.
And he had to deal with a very like anal retentive, meticulous band, you know, like, I mean, if like, he probably didn't know what he was getting into, but like, if you know anything about the detail that went into like Injustice for All, you know.
Well, I mean, that's part of it, but like, they were, like in some way, because he would call them out on stuff, you know, like, hey, that's out of key and stuff.
Oh yeah, which is rad. I mean, they talk about how they learned so much from it and grew so much from it. And so yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it was just pivotal for where they were going if they wanted to be that like world class act that and kind of take it to the next level. He was the guy on so many levels, you know. But man, okay, one thing I was thinking about.
I love Bob Rock. I mean, people, and I was probably one of the ones, but sort of for a little.
No, I had a bad attitude about him.
But like, dude, Bob Rock's like the man. I would love to do an album with him. But the funny thing I was gonna say real quick is what he said is like, he's like, I still make records to chase like the Black Album because it's like when you do something like that, even though it's painful. And like you said, they didn't want to work with each other after that. And spoiler alert, they did work with each other again many times, of course. But like,
because of the success, you know.
well, because of the success, but also
And then
because
they
they had
got
some
over it.
distance.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
Metallica toured for like
Yeah.
2.5 years, and they were like,
Straight
oh,
edge.
you know what? I actually like that guy.
Yeah.
But
I think they ended up liking him more than he liked them. You know, yeah, I think he was just like,
really?
yeah, I think so. Because I mean, it sounded like James got a lot out of working with him. You know what I mean? It opened him up. Like he like felt like after that, like, oh wow, I can kind of sing. You know, like I didn't know that. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was had a hell of a lot to do. I mean, it had everything to do with Bob Rock. And you know, he worked with him for a week to get the guitar tone, and like,
Oh,
he
yeah.
became very proud of
And
him,
the drums
everything
and
he
everything.
did. Yeah.
They spent a lot.
So no, I think James like really gave him a lot of shit, but I think he actually loved him. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Of course, dude. Yeah, it changed his career.
But anyway.
But from there on too, because like think of like the kind of confidence he had in the following albums too, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, but
dude, so real quick, one thing I wanted to I was listening to some of the songs on the way over here, and
especially Saint Anger. Just kidding.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck happened there. But anyway,
we all know what happened there.
yeah. But on the way over here, I was listening to some of the songs, and one of the things I was thinking is like, how ballsy of them, because like, okay, you do this album, it's like the biggest thing in the world. It would be so easy and smart, right, in a way to go like, let's just do another one like that. And they tore it completely down and go, let's do something that everyone's gonna fucking hate. And not understand.
Sort of. Like their fan base would hate, but like they were also like, they were really into like the Seattle bands. You know, they were really into Soundgarden especially, and Alice. Those two, I think, especially they were into, which makes sense because they're kind of from the same family tree, you know, of Black Sabbath. But you know, or at least related to Black Sabbath.
Fair enough.
But they were way into those bands, so I think they were like, oh shit, like this is bad because it's like this is what we grew up on.
Yeah.
You know? So like, well, we can do this shit too, and I think it would just like spread their wings more. But it was also like we really need to go back, you know? Like it's like, do we have to go back? Like, so I mean, at least that's the way I think about it, you know? Who knows what their thought process was, but
yeah.
You know, dude, it worked. Like, I mean, you know, yeah, obviously the Load albums are not the Black Album, but they had hits on the radio, like, you know, all over the world. So I think it worked.
So I don't know how much time we have, but
It's right there.
Oh, there it is. So, but yeah, you were saying, can we move on to the thing we started with?
Yeah. Of course.
So my thought was like, okay, other than the obvious like easy answers, which would be Enter Sandman and Nothing Else Matters, like what's the one song that is like the heart and soul of the Black Album? And like if you were gonna and you know, excluding those two obvious easy lazy answers,
you can't exclude 2 songs out of 12.
Yeah, I can. Fuck that.
Oh, you can't.
It's lazy. Anyway, other than those two, like what one song would you say, like, would you tell somebody that had never heard the Black Album that was interested or whatever, like, this is the Black Album, one song? And so anyway, so for me, like, you know, it came down, okay, it's either Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam, or Sad But True. And so I listened to him on the way over, and I thought it was going to be the Unforgiven, because I just feel like that's such a, like, wow, like, it's so cinematic. It's like, wow, is this a movie or a song? You know, it's like fucking, and I love that song. But
both.
But after listening to all of them on the way over, and I love Sad But True, it's fucking amazing. But I think Wherever I May Roam is the one that just represents the album, you know. If you like listen to that, just get into it, you know. And it kind of represents too where it would go, you know, for like becoming a like this the ultimate road dogs, just being like doing 3 years touring after it and the whole thing, you know, it's just like, that's the song, but it has everything, you know, it's got the low end, the like, you know, just everything, you know, production wise, it's got like that, everything you love about the production. It's got, you know, the riffs, the fucking, it has that like theatrical cinematic with the intro and everything. And it's got the fucking lyrics, the vocals, the harmonies, the fucking hooks, you know, it's got the guitar solos and me. That's actually probably my favorite guitar solo on the record. I love that guitar solo. It's got it all.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'd probably go one of the mellower ones, either Unforgiven or Sabbath, or but I see your point. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say Enter Sandman it's not, but
Yeah.
if
Don't be
like,
lazy.
that's not in the rules. If in John's rules, it's not
In
allowed.
my
then-
rules, it's not allowed.
then I guess we're going another way. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I told him probably nothing else matters because like, I mean, maybe that's not representative of the whole album, so I could see that argument, but
Great
I
song.
mean, it's just incredible song.
Elton John's
It's
song.
so-
Did you hear that Elton John said it
No.
was one of the best songs ever and fucking Hetfield cried?
No, I didn't know.
Get with it, bro. It was this morning, but whatever. Or no, I don't know what it was. But they were on Howard Stern sometime this week.
Oh man, Jesus. Wow.
And yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a great song. It almost didn't make the record because Hetfield was so precious about it, you know, or he just didn't think it would work for like a Metallica song. But,
I know. Imagine that. And now Elton John's saying it's one of the best songs of all time.
but I'm just saying, like, part of that is like all of that is like Bob Rock, man. Like, dude, Bob Rock. Whatever people think, if you're a hater, fine, whatever. You're gonna hate.
A hater gonna hate.
But like, and that's fine, you know. But honestly, like, where would even metal be without the Black Album? Like, all the thrash metal bands followed, you know, until like after the Black Album came out. Like, everybody tried to put out their Black Album, and they were signing
What
record labels.
What records are those?
The big, yeah. Let's get to that. But the record labels were signing thrash metal bands too, like Flotsam and Jetsam. I think what were they on before that? When did they sign to Elektra? They signed to Elektra.
Hey, I
Is it Electra?
got a good question.
Or MCA. Maybe they were.
what?
Flotsam and Jetsam.
I think it was Electra.
Well, Anthrax was on Elektra, so maybe Flotsam was on another one. But they were on a major like MCA or,
I think it
or
was Elektra,
Sony or
dude.
something. But they all got signed. I don't know at what point. I think Megadeth got signed earlier. Anthrax was on Island.
Love Flotsam, by the way. Oh my god.
But anyway, the point, I don't want to belabor it, but obviously all those bands I just mentioned all tried to make their Black Album, you know. That was just, yeah, I don't know.
Let's talk about that.
And then
Can we talk about this?
would we, like, they almost, like, when I think about, like, the history of metal, like, they kind of laid the blueprint for, like, bands like Slipknot, right? Who's, like, a super heavy band, but, like, was able to write, like, poppy songs or songs that, like, have hooks and have melodies, but they're super heavy, you know? So, anyway, I just, I don't know. I think metal was a lot to Bob Rock, is what I'm saying. And he just opened their mind, man. He was just like, oh, that song, you don't want to put that on the album? He's like, you know, like, of course we should put that on the album. It's a great song.
I gotta say, okay, one thing I do have to say is, you know, again, I was listening to Sad But True, was one of the ones I was listening to on the way over, and that gun, right? And it's got no kick behind it. It's just guitar and bass, you know? And it sounds so heavy without a kick behind it. Like, that is remarkable.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
'Cause
That
Lars
a
is-
random nerdy side note.
Lars is just doing the Phil Rudd beat again.
Yeah, just whatever. It's probably more.
He's not doing kicks? He's not doing
Another note about Lars, real quick, is like,
He's not doing kicks there?
no, It's it's
just a
like,
straight 4/4 with the
yeah. There's no kick behind it, and it
Okay.
sounds fucking.
yeah.
You would think just because of how.
That's right. He's just doing like the one kick note on the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's nerdy musician stuff, but
Nerdiness.
just another nerdy thing about like Lars or whatever. Like, dude, the way he plays, like his fucking crashes, like the snare and crash and all those snare crashes, like the way it sounds in that record is how he actually plays. Like, if you ever watch him, dude, and even now, like whenever he hits the snare and crash or a china at the and it's just like he fucking lays into it. He hits him so hard, and it's like nearly as legendary as fucking Hetfield's right hand.
Well,
Not as, but it's fucking amazing though. But he plays like he does that, like just that one thing as a drummer. He probably does as well as anybody.
Well, okay. So here's a couple things though. I just want to say about that.
Like watch, hold on real quick. Go on YouTube, different album, whatever. Watch Harvester of Sorrow in Russia, in Moscow, in 91 or 92, whatever it is. When I think Pantera was on that show, like Monsters of Rock in Moscow or something like that.
He's a
and watch the way he plays. I mean, anything in that era, but I mean,
he's a basher. I mean,
it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful thing when he does like that. He hits both crashes, you know, like on a kick, you know, like.
Oh, dude, no, he was a beast, no question. And like, yeah, I mean, okay.
And I'm not a drummer.
He's never like the tightest or like the, you know, obviously his tempo and things like that. Although he was better in those days, but yeah, no, there's no question the guy was a basher. And yeah, if you watch any of those videos from that era, he was absolutely killed. Like, you know, like one that comes to mind is like when they're doing Enter Sandman at the Wembley, you know, at the Freddie Mercury.
I don't know that one.
The Freddie Mercury event. It's on the Year and a Half Live of Metallica, but they when Freddie Mercury died, there was like a
I remember the Live Aid or Live Aid.
No, it wasn't Live Aid. It was just a Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Showed like kind of a tribute.
Yeah, and Hetfield sang they did.
Yeah, they did Stone Cold Crazy, but Metallica played it.
And I think Tony Iommi, right? Tony Iommi and Brian.
But anyway, okay, let me go back to Lars really quick. First of all, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe there's a misnomer about like, I still believe like a lot of people think there's a lot of like early kind of version of sound replacement on the Black Album. Now, maybe, I don't know, but here's the thing. Go listen, everybody, on YouTube. Go listen to the Enter Sandman drums only. Just put in Enter Sandman drums only. It's pretty raw. It's actually pretty raw. I think they just went through, I think it's possible anyway that they went through painstaking measures as they did with the plywood and all that. There's mics all over the room, all over the kit. There's so many mics. And if you're just like a great engineer like Bob Rock was, you know, and a great producer who put the time in, I mean, it's very possible in my mind to just compress an EQ and get a fucking amazing drum tone.
All right, we're getting super nerdy.
No, but hang on.
And plus,
hang on. Who knows? So that's my piece on that. However, what I want to say about Lars is, to your point, is actually on the snare hits on two parts, on Sad But True, ga, 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 and then on Rome, dude, da, 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 you know. And like, you can literally hear, and there's nothing fake. And people have to remember this is 1991. They didn't have the tricks, but even now,
that's pre Pro Tools, right?
Like you hear, and dude, just watch A Year and a Half the Life of Metallica, people. Just go watch that. You can watch the guy fucking beating the shit out of his drums.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how he played. And when the fucking record button's on, you're going even extra hard, like you're going fucking hard to the hilt, and that's what he did, and you can see it live. So don't tell me like he's not doing that shit. I've heard that shit too, like, oh, he didn't play shit, dude.
No, he plays with conviction like nobody else.
He's all over that record, but so anyway, that's my defense of Lars for Black Album, you know, the other stuff's true too. You know, you can listen to like recent live stuff, and he's sloppy, but you know, but I don't know, he's amazing. Like he's just like he blazed a trail for sure. Like he was like for metal, especially in the 80s and early 90s, he was just one of the best, you know. So that's undeniable. So I'll leave it at that. I'll leave the
well,
Lars
and like creatively, I feel like, you know what I mean. It's kind of like Joey Jordison. Like he was, you know, live, he was a fairly sloppy player as well, but like creatively, and what those two guys did on record. Get out of here, dude.
Oh yeah,
listen
yeah,
to Justice for All. Listen to the end of Harvester of Sorrow. Like,
and that's true about Jordison too. It's such a creative drummer, you know.
Yeah, like I don't know, do that. Like make the drum parts that everybody wants to air drum. You know what I mean? And then you can talk. You know what I mean? Until you've done that, like they did.
All right, anyway, we have about 4
on.
minutes. So,
all right.
So
where are we at? What do we got?
There was
something I was gonna say. Was the part where we just
get into that, like whatever you need to say about the Black Album, say it now. He's good for
so that. The last 4 minutes we're just gonna try to remember what we were gonna say. And then we're gonna run out of time.
Well, okay, I mean, I'm gonna go with, I love the fact that Bob Rock, right before when they had recorded, Hetfield would always double his vocals, kind of like, you know, you sing a line and then you sing the other line right on top, and it has to be identicals, and it kind of just beefens up the sound, and that's still like a technique that people use today especially for metal, right? But and it just beefens it up. But the thing is, like, Bob Rock kind of talked him into, he's like, well, what if I can get you a great vocal sound? Would you be into it if, you know, we just did one? Because the thing is, like, he wanted more spontaneity, actually, which is kind of ironic,
He
right?
wanted more like, hey, this is a person with personality, you know, like, you know, like more intimate, more personality, you know.
Right, it's more
you'll take more chances because you don't have to double it. You only have to do it once.
Exactly.
Like doubling it, like the same. Like if you do something like I can only do that once. Like that was just a fucking. I'm not like that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to do it again.
Right, and man, the vocals on that album just sound amazing. I mean, everything from the heavy stuff to the not so heavy stuff. So I kind of love that because
well, and that's I guess one
it's
more
a little
thing.
antithetical to, like, I think how a lot of metal, you know, metal's split, I think, these days, because I think the more like hardcore kind of bands, they probably do, like, you know, more single track stuff, but then there's like
well, let's not end on that super nerdy note, but anyway, like I think one thing it just made me think of is that I think is important to note is that, like, you know, we had a bad attitude about it for a while, and it finally came around. But I mean, now you can literally 30 years later look back and still marvel at this record, and it's like the production, the performances, everything, you know, the songwriting, everything about it, and all of it, how it all. And that's what's amazing about it, is it still, by today's standards, like you put it on and it still sounds amazing. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, yeah, obviously there's certain things that have progressed since then, but I mean, it still sounds pretty fucking amazing, and it's still selling thousands of copies every week. Like, what? It's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange. But it's the songs. It's like such a confluence, if that's the right word, of like of things that occurred, like, because the production's amazing, but the song, you gotta have, like, you're nowhere without great songs, and it's just like the songs are so good, and there's just so much heart, you know, like they were just at a point where, I mean, literally, like, marriages ended over that album, like, for real.
Like
and
3 of them.
Yeah, I think, and
everybody was married except for Hetfield, and they all ended like before/during that record. In fact, the working title, I think, was called Married to Metal because of that.
Bad name. But Black Album.
They opted for no name,
yeah,
and then it became just known as the Black Album, which is not actually the official title, right? It's just Metallica.
It's just Metallica.
But the Black Album is way better.
But yeah, I mean, but they were just at that point in their lives when it was just the most important thing in their life, and it was like, and that changes, and that's okay, you know. That's okay, you know, for artists and things, but they were at that point. So it was like just this like, yeah, confluence of like things, like the stars kind of aligned for that moment. But yeah, but you have to have great songs at the point, and so they sure did. So good stuff. Anything else?
That's it. I don't know. I'll think of more stuff after we're done, but
too late. On to the next one. All right, guys.
Later.
Peace.